Hey everyone, Dan here. I wanted to take you through the evolution of some of my 3D printed bridges that I've done through the years. So I want to show you these 4 older designs, and then I'll show you my newest design, which is pretty fun. And I'll kind of just talk through how these evolved, show you some features in the new one, and then show you how I assemble it, and then maybe we'll drive on them for a little bit. All right, so this is an earlier bridge that I printed for these SCX24s. In order to get enough size to do something like have a model train run under here, or to have the trucks be able to do a figure 8 and cross their own path, I wanted to have some length. So I couldn't really print this on my Creality Ender 3 Pros because their bed is something like 1 foot by 1 foot. I did this on my CR10 Max, and I was able to print these big long log pieces along the hypotenuse. So you can see those are pretty big. There's a lot of material there. And then the towers, in order to get the height, this is a pretty long print. So each of these towers, I probably could have made the walls thinner, but they've got some real mass to them. It takes a lot of plastic to make that. And I think each of these side towers takes something like 36 hours. So this is one of the earlier designs, and it's really fun because it looks really cool, but it takes a really long time, and it's not really mass producible. So that's that one. Then this next one is trying to take some weight out, trying to make a little bit more efficient structure, and also trying to get length again. I varied up the tower height. What I found when I made the first couple ones of these, I just had hooks, and when the trucks fall off, the bridge sections or these ramp sections would just fall apart. So I designed this mechanism such that when the ramps are down, you couldn't unhook this. When the ramps are up, you can, in fact, slide this off and install and uninstall. So that was pretty cool. This was a lot of fun. You've probably seen this in some of my videos. I like the length that gives you. One of the challenges here is, once again, this is all built on the CR10 Max, and a big printer like that with a big nozzle, it's sometimes tricky to get good bed adhesion. Those adhesion problems probably come from the fact that great big bed doesn't stay super flat. So I've had some bad prints like this, and once again, this is a lot of material, and I wanted to find a way to print this on smaller printers and then hook things together. So I started experimenting with hook mechanisms. So this is an early test piece where I printed one piece flat on the bed, and that's the kind of hook receptacle, and then I printed another piece that has hooks in it, and then you snap these together and you can't uninstall them. And that led to this design. So this design is an early version of, we've got planks that have hooks, planks that have receptacles and beams that have hooks. And you can snap together this bridge piece or this ramp piece out of multiple pieces that were printed all flat with no support on small printers. And the size here, the length of this beam is dictated by the hypotenuse of the print bed. And you can see this is what it comes out as. First ones, again, I did hooks, and they kind of fall apart when everything falls over. So I wanted to evolve from that. I also didn't like that this was shorter than the truck on top. So then evolved to this guy, and this has a lot nicer features in it. So this has a joint that will not separate. It also has a longer top piece, which is as long as the wheelbase of the trucks. And I also, if I can zoom in here and get that in focus, you can see I added some pretty aggressive texture on these planks. So what this allows you to do is climb at really steep angles and not slip. Whereas over here, these were very flat and featureless, and some of my trucks would slip on there. Some of the ones with nicer tires did okay, but I wanted to improve that. And then over here you can see I went to much longer length. So in order to achieve that length, I created a joint configuration, and this allowed me to print multiple beams that were as long as the hypotenuse of my print bed and then join them together. All right, and then all of this led to what is now my most recent design, and that's this guy. So this is about 5 feet long, and it's got some really serious height, and you can configure this in a whole bunch of different ways. If it comes with a short, medium, and long ramp, and if you configure it with the long ramp going off the end of the high tower, then you can get up on some pretty high stuff like couches and desks and tables and stuff like that. So this is really fun. Maybe I'll show you how this goes together, and then we can drive the trucks on them. So here's some of the pieces that we use to build our tower, and all of this is snapped together so that each of these pieces can be printed flat on the printer with no support, and then we can snap them together. And here's what that looks like. So for each main vertical piece, well, there's a pair of main vertical pieces, and then there's a pair of cross pieces. So those cross pieces slide into the vertical piece, and then you push to snap them, and they lock in place. So what we're going to do, we're going to install 2 of those locking cross pieces, and we're going to make sure they really snap. There we go, snapped in place. And then we're going to install the other side. So we'll make sure that all the hooks are lined up before we go and snap them in place. There we go. And now we have a tower. Turn this a little bit. And then we have this top piece, and you'll see on the top piece there are 4 locations that line up with these 4 tabs. And we get them all lined up, and then just press them down. And then you can see just they're not really snapped on the top. It's more kind of a tight fit that holds it in place. And then the next thing is the ramp sections. And these ramp sections also have hooks that hold the planks on. So you see I've done an alternating pattern here, and we've got 8 planks on this shorter ramp section. And the length of this is really driven by the hypotenuse length of the build plate on my Creality Ender 3 Pros. And you can see, rather than just having a hook on the side, I have this feature, and let me see if maybe I can zoom in a little bit here. You can see the shape of this feature, and here's how we install the ramp. You push both sides on, and now once you're pivoted away from that installation angle, this keeps the ramp from bouncing off. Because what I found was, as the trucks are rumbling over, and especially if you fall or if the truck falls off, it was always pulling the normal hooks apart. So I wanted to have a feature that holds that together, and I've been really happy with that. We talked about the standard tower and how that gets assembled, how you put the top on. This is the short ramp. We just built this long ramp. And then the large tower kit also comes with a medium-sized ramp, another standard tower, and a stand. And you can choose whether you put the long ramp in between the towers or if you want to configure this a different way. I'm sure there's a bunch of different combinations you can do. So what you'll do is you'll line up the tabs, install them on both sides here, and then install the second ramp or the third ramp over here. And there you go. Completed ramp. It's about 5 feet long. Completed bridge.
Okay.
So we've assembled all of these bridges into one crazy giant bridge structure. And now we're going to drive all over it. Ready, bud?
And we also added a tater totter.
That's right. Let's go. All right. That was fun. See you next time.